You ready?
Let's go.
This is Inside with Outsiders, and I'm Jeremy Asgari. Today's guest is Mark Waite of our Outsider Chicago team and a legacy company, which is a fitness lifestyle brand company, right?
Yeah.
I messed that up, but okay, we'll go with it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me, man.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here. You're the first person from our Chicago crew to be here to be on this podcast, and I appreciate it. And you also helped me out big time when it comes to launching Chicago, because you were our photographer for the first two events, but you also kind of showed me the lay of the land of Chicago. I'm still not very familiar, but I didn't know a thing about it until you showed me around.
Yeah, a little introduction. That was nice.
Yeah, be closer to the mic, my guy. No one's gonna hear a thing you say.
A little introduction. Yeah. Brought you a little introduction, man.
Exactly. You can bring the mic forward, backwards, whatever you want.
For sure.
Well, I've known you for a long time. We've actually met in a club through my friend Paloma, but we really met like hooping, playing basketball in New York.
Yeah.
That's where we connected. But I don't know. I met I met your mom in Chicago. I met some of your family, and I know your mom is originally from Belize. Your father is from where?
My dad grew up in Chicago, but his family is Irish. Primarily.
Irish from Chicago. Okay.
They're old farmers. They came as farmers from Ireland, and
really
then grew up in Indiana, and then the family moved to Chicago. So.
What brought your mom to Chicago?
So her father, my grandfather, came when she was about 8 years old. He was studying medicine. He wanted to be a pharmacist. So he came. He was a police officer in Belize and wanted to go to school. So he went up. Sorry, he was
you
a
can
police
move it up
officer.
to you, man.
Yeah, let me get a little higher. Yeah, he was a police officer. Then he moved to Chicago and took them with. So that's what landed her there. She actually went back to Belize and got her siblings and came back too.
Oh, really?
And this was, when it was a little more lax, but she came illegally. She had to come. And,
really?
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
that's a cool story.
Yeah, so that's a whole, we can go into that for forever, but yeah, my mom's a trooper, man. So it's funny how those two journeys connected.
I mean, your mom came to our first Outside Chicago event, and she was hiking. We were talking about today. She was like whistling, having a great time.
Yeah.
She's like super young spirited.
For sure. She grew up, pretty much in a jungle environment. So she has memories of wild horses in her backyard.
Wow.
She could see them right. Or she would talk about how the crabs would come when the season came, and they would like take over, and they just start like marching through her yard. So stories like that, you hear, but then you don't get to experience it firsthand anymore. So she hadn't been back. I mean, she went back recently, but it had been over 30 years.
Oh, wow.
So you can imagine like growing up in that, and then now you're in the city, a major city, and when totally different environment.
Yeah.
It's foreign. So, yeah, but she loved it, man. You see how she just jumped right back.
Yeah,
into
of
it.
course.
And having a good time.
We gotta get her back out there. I mean, everybody feels those benefits of being out in nature, especially when you're stuck in an urban environment.
Yeah.
But were you born and raised in Chicago?
Born and raised in Chicago, in Uptown, on the north side.
Okay.
Yeah, one of 6. Yeah, interesting upbringing, man, for sure.
Tell me, let's talk about it. Let's hear it. How was it? I mean, your mother's from Belize, Caribbean.
Yeah.
Your father's white, he's of Irish descent.
Yeah.
One thing I really noticed in Chicago, and something that was brought to my attention, especially after the first event we did, is how segregated Chicago is as a city. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, obviously, we know that if you're half black, they consider you black, right? So you fell into that category. But how did you feel? Was that how you felt, or did you feel like you didn't belong in one group or not?
Yeah, I think it's more so the latter.
Really?
I think a lot of people who are mixed feel that sentiment. Not just me, so I don't take it personal.
So,
but
would you say like too black to be white, too white to be black?
Yeah.
And how was that? With a segregated city, where do you fall in? I mean, it's just fall into. You don't.
You don't. I mean, I always had friends. I wasn't an outcast by any means, but I knew early on that it was something different.
Tell me, how did you know?
Just like, okay, so my parents met. I'll give you a backstory on my parents. So my parents met in Evanston, which is a suburb right on right on the border of Chicago, right? So, which is it's a middle class, upper middle class suburb, you know, but they were poor, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was one of 13, so his family was poor, and so they were like known as like the hoodlums of Evanston because they were just wild and rambunctious. 13 kids, they were,
wow.
you know. So, so they
Wait, hang on a second. So there's that show. Was it on Showtime? Damn it!
What is it?
Which
I think I know what you're talking about.
Shameless.
Shameless, yeah.
It was about an Irish family in the south side of Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's they're not the only story like
No,
that.
I'm trying to say
yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I come from an Irish family, and that's how most of my family members were too.
He's
So.
Irish and Puerto Rican.
Oh wow.
So,
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah.
no, maybe not exactly the same, but
Not
similar
too much.
vibes.
Yeah, similar. So they just they met each other in high school, and then reconnected later on in life. But so when they reconnected and got together, my dad she then moved to the south side to 51st and Calumet, and you know, which is an all black neighborhood. And so my dad would go over there. Right, this is before I was even born, but he would go over there and he would tell me stories like how he would play with my uncle. He'd go play ball, and everybody thought he was a cop.
Really?
So you know, but then he would play ball, and that's how he kind of gained his stripes, I guess you could say.
Right.
You know, he said he knew he was in a place where, you know, he wasn't from,
right.
but yeah, he was a dog on the court, man. So he would tell me, he said, yeah, me and your uncle, man, Uncle Kenny Mac, man, we would go and kick their ass, man. He's like, I wouldn't talk shit, you know. I knew where I was at, and I didn't do anything stupid. He's like, but yo, we go run the court on him. I'm throwing alley oops to him.
Really? I didn't know. So your
my
dad was
could hoop.
Really?
Yeah, my dad could hoop, man.
So I know. So Mark and Hoop, man. We met again. We met through a friend in the club, but we just talked about basketball really early, and we went to play. And Mark, I think you were trying to play pro at the time. Mark could play, and we played. We had good chemistry on the basketball court.
Yeah, man. For sure.
And he gives me nice compliments about my shooting when we're playing. So it's good in my book.
Like a true point guard. You know, you got to know how to press
It
your
was funny
teammates'
today. He's
buttons.
telling me, like, I remember I came to watch you play. This is out a couple of years ago. I was like, you went for 11 for 11. I was like, I went 11 for 11 when? I don't remember, but I'll take it.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So you got the love of the game through your pops. Oh, I guess your dad and your uncle.
Yeah, man. I can remember playing ball as a shorty. Like, one of the first memories I have is of having a little like hoop for sure.
Yeah.
So it's 5 of us. It was 5 of us at the time, right? So I got 2 older sisters, an older brother, and then a younger brother. So we would all sleep in the same room. We had 2 bunk beds, L-shaped, right next to each other, right? And we all found a spot to sleep on all of those. But what I would do in the morning, like, I wanted to play ball, so I'd take all the blankets, all the extra blankets and pillows, and put them on the floor and try to play ball quiet. But you right here, you right next door to your parents. It's 7 a.m, but I got the Jones, and I'm like, I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna make nothing but nets, and I would like go on my knees and try to catch the ball, dude. So I get like 10, 15 minutes in, and I hear, it's like, oh shit. So that'd be my mom, and she wouldn't even say anything. If she had to speak, then it was really something.
Yeah.
But she would just pull me in the room and make me go back to bed. Like, yo,
Yeah.
I'm not listening to this right now.
Right,
It's 7
right.
in the morning. So that started early, and then my pops would take me. He would actually go play ball. So like, he worked a lot, and he would work like real late, but then he would pop in, and then on his day off, he would go hoop right in the morning. So he'd come in, and I hear him come in, and I'm like, all right, it's not time. He's almost gonna leave. And I would try to time when he get up so I can get in the car with him and go. So he normally wouldn't take me. Like, he wouldn't wake me up to go. I would have to.
Yeah.
So I hear this gym bag or something, or him go in the closet, and I jump up. I'm coming. And I grab my stuff and go. So I watch him play, and then I just start playing on the side, and that's how it started, man.
Was he just a recreation player, or did he play the organized ball?
So my dad had to work as a teenager, so he didn't finish school, but he could hoop, and he said that, like, you know, when he would play, the coach would ask him, you know, tell him to come to practice and this and that. He's like, man, I gotta go to work. So he's one of those guys that could play but never played. Yeah. So like, to this day, my dad still's got a jump shot. He taught me my first crossover.
Really? He still plays?
Yeah.
That's nice. I had no idea.
Yeah,
Look at
man.
that. This is why I love this podcast. I've known this guy for, I don't know, 12 years now.
Man, it's been some time for sure. Longer than that, maybe.
Yeah, actually, I mentioned before I had that back surgery from playing ball. We played in that Williamsburg league where we busted them up.
Yeah, man.
That was nice. That's crazy. So your dad was working like crazy growing up, but he found time to show you how to play ball. What else was it like? Like, let's go back to like.
Oh, the differences of not
Exactly
of not fitting in. Yeah, so like you would get the things like some of the general ones, right? It's like, why do you talk like that? Why you white? Why are you talking black? Number one, it's like, have you seen my mom? But what difference?
Who would say this?
Just people like in the neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah, but
like,
what neighborhood did you live in? Actually, what was it?
So I grew up in Uptown, which is really diverse.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, you get everything.
Okay.
So, and that's another, I guess you could say like an anomaly in the city, because you don't have that really. Like you go to the north side, it's mostly white, and then you go on the south side, it's mostly black, and then you have pockets of different things.
Yeah.
Right, all Spanish but it's mostly people stay where they are.
Yeah.
But Uptown was real unique. So I had Vietnamese friends growing up. I had Spanish friends.
Is it still like that there?
Yeah.
Because I don't know too many neighborhoods in Chicago, but I know the north, from what I gather, is more white. The south is more black and Latino, right?
Yeah.
And then I didn't know and Humboldt Park is like Puerto Rican.
Yeah.
Right. I gotta learn the lay of the land, man.
You got it. I mean, that's all. It's pretty much
That's it?
how you said it.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
For the
Yeah.
most
It's
So it's like northern Chicago is probably like it'd be almost kind of like say like Queens and Brooklyn, where it's like it's a mix of a bunch of different things.
Yeah, but if you had to like throw a dart on the white side, it would be the north side. If you had to
Okay.
throw a dart for the black side,
It'd
it
be
would
on
be
the south side. All right.
Just you can tell, like you can see it driving through the highway. So let's say you start up in the suburbs on the north side, and you start driving. You look to the left or right. You'll see, mostly white people, and then you see some Asians and some Spanish people, right? And you get downtown, and it's all mixed, and then you start going out south, and it's mostly black people. You can tell, like, that's how they literally kind of draw the line.
It's so interesting. I mean, obviously, there's pockets of neighborhoods in New York that are specifically for one, mostly a genre of people and so on. But it's getting more and more mixed or more gentrified in most of the places, to be honest with you. But in Chicago, it's great. Like the first event, the biggest, the most impactful comment I heard from somebody about what we did. Like, wow, you guys say you're diverse, but you're actually diverse. Your group. I'm like, well, yeah, that's what we said. But nowhere. It's hard to find diversity in groups in Chicago. Like, really?
Man, listen. If we talk about race and diversity in Chicago, I'll tell you things that happen in Chicago, and you'll look at me like I'm crazy. Like, nah, that shit. Come on, they
Like
still
what?
do that.
Like what? Tell me.
Like, I mean, there's still establishments that don't want black people to come to that don't want them to patronize their establishment. So they'll do whatever that is, whether that be dress code or whether that be, I mean, there's a bunch of little subtle things that happen
Well,
like
let's
that.
be honest. That's in every city. Globally.
No, for sure. But if we go, tell me where you feel uncomfortable going in New York City.
Me personally,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I
You don't.
blend it. No, but I have black friends that might feel uncomfortable going somewhere because they get denied at the door because I remember there was a place, a nightclub I heard, the doorman I knew was telling me that, and he was he black? I know he worked there at one point, but he said they only allow 2 black people per night. And this is in 2006 or something like that, 2005 in New York. But it was like a Euro trash party,
Yeah.
But I think around here, it's more about like when you go into certain areas, like if you go into like the Bronx, South Bronx back in the day, if you didn't walk in and you didn't act a certain way, you just walked in like, you actually, they felt like you belonged there, then nobody's going to bust your balls. Like nobody pulled your card in the city. As long as you were like, you felt like you were part of the community and shit when you
I
walked
guess it's
in.
the vibe of confidence you walk in a place with in New York. Chicago, again, I don't know the lay of the land, but the fact that it's crazy. So I hope it's not as bad as my friend went to Tennessee, they're from Sweden. They were representing Jack Daniels in Sweden. So they got invited to Tennessee for this, this work thing. And a bunch of the white Swedish Jews went into a bar and they're having drinks. And then one of their friends who's half white, half black, but looks darker, he looks more black than he does white, walks in. He's about to walk in and they were like, your kind's not welcome here. He was like, what? He's from Sweden. He's like, he starts laughing, and they gave him the, you better leave look. And that's in the South, though. We think in the North,
it's
it's different.
It's not as overt as that.
Of course, no.
Yeah.
It's more out. It's more out in the open in the South. I'm assuming, and I'm not talking from experience. I don't know. So if I'm talking out of my face, I apologize. But Chicago, you're saying it's still very prominent.
There's an undertone. Let's just say that.
Mm-hmm.
It's more of an undertone, but there's also just, you said it. There's a physical divide.
Yeah. Well, that's the more noticeable thing for me.
So we don't have to.
It's literally like the other side of the tracks. It's like
it's the identity of the city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Two cities. You got people who live on the south side that don't go downtown. They don't cross. They don't even know what up north is.
Do you see a change
and
happening?
Vice versa. It goes
Well,
both ways.
of course.
Yeah,
But do you see a change happening where you see more, black, white, but do you see a gray area building?
I can't say. I mean, from my lens, man, I think from my lens, people as a whole is becoming less about race and more about other things. So I think that the tone for racial tension is being dampened only because there are other issues that are coming up.
What are some of those examples?
I mean, it could just be like, it could be political views. It can be gender, identity discussions.
Yeah.
It could be anything like that. And so now you're cutting up the loaf of bread a bunch of different ways in a bunch of different slices. It's still the same loaf of bread, still the same bullshit we're in. But now it's just like, all right. First it was this. It was race was the stamp for the tension and the things that are the ills of this country. Let's say right. That's a stamp for that. And now you got all these other issues that are now propped up and have a platform to be viewed and have an influence. Yeah. Right on the way people form relationships. Mm. You may have a perspective that differs from mine, and in your heart that may be a dividing line right then and there for you to even have an opportunity to see what I'm about, right? Yeah. So think about that. If we're talking about a country that's supposed to be unified in something, how can you be unified?
Polarized. Yeah.
How can you be unified when certain things like that prevent you from even sitting down at a table and speaking? Right.
But the fact, I guess what shocks me the most is the physical divide is so obvious in Chicago. But it's funny. I've been out to Chicago. I've been to the Hoxton, to Blind Barber, and it was nice. Maybe this those places I went to because I'm rolling with a diverse group. But it was a nice, diverse group of people in those places.
And that's not to say Chicago is beautiful and got some beautiful places and has some unique diversity that you can't find anywhere else. Like, I mean, go to Uptown, man. You can get food from every country in a 2-block radius, literally.
Where's Uptown?
Uptown is up north. Like, I grew up on Wilson and Sheridan till I was about 11, and then I moved. But there's a whole restaurant area, like Little Vietnam is right there.
Oh yeah.
A bunch of Ethiopian restaurants, a bunch of.
I went to a spot that had a bunch of Middle Eastern restaurants. I went to a Persian restaurant in Chicago. Yeah. It was a block where there was a lot of other ethnic cuisines. It was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not bashing. I love my city, man. There's no city like it. But it's got some, it's got some real work to do. Yeah. And it's some people that want it to happen and want to build a real unified city, but it's a lot of people that don't because they profit from that. So you gotta.
How do they profit from it?
How do they profit from
the segregation of the city divide?
Yeah, I mean, okay, so think about it. If you have an affluent area, right, and business is propped up a certain way to where you're profitable on certain numbers, like let's just say having an employee. If you have an employee that has to make a livable wage, and that affects your bottom line to where you're not profitable, are you going to pay that person a livable wage? No, right? You're going to go find the cheapest labor you can. So what I'm saying is that business, especially, and this is just most major cities, that's how it is. You need somebody to go work those low-paying jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You need somebody. Now, if those people had resources to educate themselves, to have some type of sustainable baseline to where they can then leave the conditions they're in or have the opportunity at least, right? Then there'd be less of those workers. And who's going to fill those slots? Right? So, look, this is just capitalism. And if you don't believe me, you don't have to. This is my opinion. You have to have haves and have-nots. And so major cities are just a magnified version of what capitalism brings about. And I'm not a communist, I'm not a socialist, I won't even get into that. I'm just saying that for the system to work, there has to, right, money is valuable only if you don't have it.
Right. Well, money's always valuable, but
I'm saying it's more valuable when someone doesn't have it. If you got $1 million and I got $1 million, then what's stopping us from buying whatever we want? Nothing, right? There's no supply demand changes. There's no flow. There's no, right? So I'm not knocking capitalism. I'm just saying that in these major cities, there's a portion of it that happens where you have to have some people to do the grunt work.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's a society.
So with that being said, I'm saying now look at where the resources are being put. Look at where taxpayer dollars are being placed in these cities for them to, quote unquote, flourish and to better themselves. Okay, we're going to build new parks. We're going to build new skyscrapers and redo the riverfront. And we're going to, fix the sidewalks up over here. And then you go on another side of the city and these kids got books from 1994.
Right.
So you can't tell me that you don't have the resources to fix that up and play the long game and help build these people up so that they're productive members of society. Right? That's just a problem you'll get to when you get to. When it's time to, when everything else is built up, we're going to come play over here. And then you build it up. Come on, man. Look, just call the spade, man. I don't play sides. I don't play victims. I just call it what it is. And if people want to turn a blind eye to the shit that's going on in most major cities, then that's on you.
We have it in New York too.
Yeah.
No,
it's not just Chicago.
No,
it's
but
everywhere.
it's honestly, it's not even about like a race. It's literally just about you got good areas and you got shit areas, and the shit areas are always they get second glance. Yeah,
that's it. That is what it is.
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is that I believe that there's a better way. If we really had a sense of community. Look, if you go to Amsterdam, do you see that Amsterdam? I'm just saying.
Yes, but it's in the suburbs. In Europe, the hoods are in the suburbs.
Okay, but even in the inner city, there are resources for these people to go find housing. You can get whatever assistance that you need if you want it, and it's not hard to get to. Come on, what's a food desert? We're in the richest quote unquote country in the world, but you have food deserts. You got somewhere where somebody has to travel miles and miles to get decent food, a grocery store. So now what are they eating all day? It's more than just money, man. It's more than just money. We're talking about basic fundamental provisions that people should that everybody should have an opportunity to get to. That's all I'm saying.
We went on a nice tangent about that for sure. And I don't want to go away from that, but I also want to know more about you.
For sure.
Where did you go? Where did you go to a school leading up to high school, and where did you go to high school?
I went to George B. Armstrong Elementary. That's in Rogers Park, real diverse, good school. And then I went to Walter Payton.
We passed by with Assad, right?
Yeah.
Wait, they have a school named after a running back for the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, so he
listen, I'm a Chicago Bear fan since '85.
For sure. Yeah.
How did you become a Chicago Bear fan in New York?
I literally bet my uncle $5 that the Bears are going to beat the Giants in a game. This is '85 before they won the Super Bowl and they beat the Giants, and I won $5. So they literally been my favorite team since 1985.
Just because of $5. Look at that.
For $5, yeah, exactly.
He's loyal, man.
Loyal. So what was high school like there?
High school for me was it was a new school, so it was challenging. It was far away.
Why'd you go there if it was far?
Because it was a new school and it was a lot of hoopla around, and I tested well, and my parents wanted me to go, so they like, yeah, you should go there.
And did you play there? Play ball?
Nah, I didn't.
What?
No, I didn't.
Why?
Because I couldn't juggle the grades. Yeah, man, it was rough.
You never played high school ball?
Nah, man.
Holy shit.
No.
Did you play college ball?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, play some college.
Interesting. So tell me about the high school experience.
Man, yeah, high school was I just didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing really. I was in there for math and science. But
did you do well in those? Well, I guess not. You managed.
It wasn't I just didn't do the work. I could do the workload, but I lacked discipline. So like I was really diligent in grade school, and then when I became a teenager,
Become less interested in shit.
yeah, when I became a teenager, I got nothing that I came in contact with in school really drove me. Like the curriculum I was learning, I was just like, okay, like I'm reading this book, but I really don't care about this book. I'm reading this history, but I really don't care about this history. Or I'm doing this chemistry, I really don't. So my issue was finding the motivator to get me to do those things that I didn't want to do. And there was nobody at home checking. My parents had to work and whatnot. So like, yeah, I was left to my own vices, you know, my own devices. But it became, it just became a fuck off for me, honestly. You know, like I didn't want to go. There was nothing that was really driving me. And then when I didn't play ball, it was like a compound effect. So like, I'm not hooping.
Did you finish
either.
high school?
Yeah. And I'll tell you how I finished, man.
How?
So I was demoted, right? You know what demoted means? So it's like if you're a sophomore but you have freshman credits, you're demoted. Even though you've been in school for 2 years, you've completed the workload of a freshman, therefore you are demoted.
Oh, so you're left back.
You left back,
Yeah.
right? So I basically did 2 years of work in 1 year to graduate on time. Just 'cause
Really?
I wanted to get the fuck out of there. So yeah. So all my teachers were like, what are you, like, where was this shit at 2 years ago? Like, you know, but it was just the pressure that I found myself in that forced me to discipline myself to do the work.
Right.
So, I mean, like throughout college, that shit was easy too.
Where'd you go to school, college?
I bounced around. I started going to Southern Illinois. And I didn't know any better. This is another issue, and I won't go on a tangent on this, but having someone to guide you through the process of going to school, to higher learning, figuring out the ins and outs. Because let me tell you guys, this shit is a business.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, those people want their money.
Yeah.
And so if you don't have a plan to pay those people their money, or you don't have a plan on how you're gonna figure out finances and not find yourself in a hole, you're gonna find yourself in a hole.
Yeah.
So I found myself in a hole, and that's a whole nother story. But I got my degree, and you know,
Where'd you finish from?
I finished from the College of Mount St. Vincent. It's up in Riverdale.
Yeah, in New York, right?
Yeah.
Is that what brought you to New York the first time?
Man, no, it's not what brought me to
What brought you?
That's a whole nother story, man.
Let's hear. What brought you? So when did you leave? When did you leave Chicago?
How big is your memory card, man?
When did you leave Chicago?
Man, so
So you could just so you don't have
I'm
to
a
go.
segue out of college.
Huh?
I'll segue out of Southern Illinois.
Yeah, and where'd you go
I was
from
in
there?
Southern Illinois. I couldn't pay it, so I went, and my parents didn't have the money. God bless them at the time. They got me down there. Like we scrounged up as a family, like $500. Hopped in the car, bought me like some shit from Target, and got me in the door. And then I was supposed to get these loans, but my parents had no credit, bad credit. No one could sign for me. So now I'm sitting there with this bill over my head, and I got no way to pay it because I can't qualify for any loans. So I'm like, what options do I have? And they're like, find a cosigner. I couldn't find one. So I come home from class, and they changed the locks.
What? The school changed the locks?
They changed the locks on my dorm, and took my meal card and everything. So I was down there literally starving. I didn't want to tell my parents because I already knew that they didn't have it. So I was like, fuck, man, how am I navigate this shit? So like I moved into my friend's dorm for a little bit, and I was fucking eating out the vending machine. I got sick, and I had to go home. But like I tried everything I could to stay, but it just didn't work out. So I went back home, and then I got sick, and I was like,
What did you get? How did you get sick?
from dehydration, because I was eating ramen noodles and drinking soda out the vending machine.
Damn.
So I got fucked up, man. It was bad. And can I curse? Is that
Yeah,
bad?
you cursed.
Is
it
it
weird.
curse? Okay. Yeah.
Yes, now you just dropped like 8 F-bombs.
Because look, I forget about this. I'm talking
That's
to you,
good.
man.
That means you're in the flow right now.
Yeah.
So you got sick. What happens when you get home? Like, what was your plan then?
So before I left Southern Illinois, I went to try out for the team, and they weren't really taking anybody. They had their team already, but I did well, man. And I was just like, I want to go somewhere with this. I don't know where I'm gonna go, but that's the only thing I'm really good at. So let me just hold on to that and see where it takes me. So hoops always drove me, but I just didn't have discipline in anything else. So I was like, all right, let me hold on to that and let it take me where it's gonna take me, man. So I bounced around trying to find whatever school would take me. Finally got like some tryouts and ended up in a couple JUCOs. But I ended up in New York because I took a break from that after I finished my first 2 years, and I was always I was into gambling, man, playing poker. So I used to play in high school, and I was pretty good. And as I finished high school, I kept playing, so I would go to like different underground games and stuff and started meeting people. So I met a guy, and we became really good friends, man. His name was Pun. He actually passed away.
Pun?
Yeah, Pun passed away, man.
Like Big Pun?
Yeah. That's what we called him. His name is Brandon, but
Oh, this you meant like the rapper Pun.
But no, we used to call him Pun, and Pun was from New York. So I met him, and he's sitting there with his Mets hat on, at the table. It's like, man, where are you from, man? Where? And he's like, yeah, I'm from New York. And this, I was like, man, I've never been. He's like, you want to go? I'm going next week. And I was like, yeah, I'll go. Like, just in jest, like playing around. But I would see him, at the games, and then he's like, yo, you going to come? And I was like, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
So I barely even met this guy, man, and I jump in I jump in his car, and we come take a trip, man, and that's what made me fall in love with New York. So I was like, when we came back, I was like, I got to find a way to get over there. So I was making good money. I was doing, what was I doing at that time, man? I was like doing like security. I was waiting tables. I was doing a bunch of
In New
shit.
York?
No, in Chicago before I came. So I had a little bit of money saved up. I was doing all right. And he's like, yo, I'm moving back to New York. Same guy. And I'm like, all right, cool. He's like, yeah, we could get a spot together. I was like, all right, let's do it. All right. So he's like, all right, we'll leave. We set a date. Cool. I packed my stuff. I'm like, all right, I'm good to go. Tell me why. We get here. We pull up in Jersey first. We get to Jersey. Hold on, I'll be right back. Close the door. Comes back out. Yeah. So I'm like, where's this apartment we supposed to have set up? All this, bro. He had nothing set up.
Oh, wow.
So I literally came out to New York butt naked, man. Butt naked. So this is what we do. So I'm like, what am I going to do? I have no place. I didn't know I had family at the time. That was my safe. That was my save. I called my mom, and I had a great aunt who lived in Harlem. So I ended up staying there temporarily. But at that time, I'm like, what are we going to do? So we sat there. I was like, I'm not about to sit in this car. I'm not sleeping in this car. I'm not having it. Let's go to Atlantic City. So we go to Atlantic City. I'm like, I got this money saved up.
By the way, that's a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive.
Yeah, it's about 3 hours drive
from New York.
yeah.
And you just on a whim, we get to Jersey, and all of a sudden you're like, let's go straight to Atlantic City.
So we get to Atlantic City. It's like in the middle of the night too. I remember it was foggy. We were like sitting in the parking lot. He had this old Delta 88 with the rag hanging off of this shit, and I was like, bro, I'm not sleeping in this. Not happening. So I go in there and I start playing. And just like basic cash game, nothing crazy, no high roller stuff. Yeah. But I sat there and my pile started stacking up. So he comes in, he walks in, he sees what I got going on, and he sits down too. So he sits down, he starts doing good, and before you know it, we're both, we got a couple grand in our bankroll, which we didn't have when we got there. I was like, okay, this ain't so bad. So we're like, fuck it, let's get a room. So we get a room, and we stay there for a couple more days and clean up. So
really,
what turned into a nightmare, ended up giving me an extra boost to kind of.
How much did you end up making in those couple days?
Man, I made I probably like a few thousand, man, like 4,000, 5,000.
Yeah, that's nice.
It was over a quarter. Like I would make like 1,500 a day. Yeah. And he would come and borrow from me too, because he was more aggressive. So he would like have highs and lows, and he'd come and I'd throw him a few hundred. Like, get back on your feet, man. Stop playing over there. Like, you know. And so he'd rack up again. And so last night, or one of the last nights, we you don't know what time it is when you finish playing.
It's the worst.
Because there's no windows or anything. So we get out, and I'm like, what are we gonna eat? Like, it's like 8 in the morning. I'm starving. It was early in the morning, bro. We went and had like 100 wings from Hooters.
Oh my!
Celebratory breakfast.
Wings from Hooters as a celebratory breakfast. You guys had it all figured out.
But yeah, man, that's how I landed here. Then I did a quick tryout, and that's what got me into school. And
Which tryout? Where? Mount St. Vincent.
Yeah,
That's in the Bronx. Where is that?
Yeah.
Westchester. Man.
it's in the Bronx. Yeah,
Yeah. I think we might have played you guys. T3.
yeah,
Yeah, we might have played him, Hunter.
yeah, man.
That's crazy. So you got an apartment with that money with your boy, or what'd you do?
So I actually went and stayed with my aunt before then I found a spot on Craigslist, and the rest is history.
Gotcha.
Actually, the rest is not history. That's a whole other story.
Yeah, you got a job bartending shortly after, right?
Man, so my first job, believe it or not, was Starbucks. Yeah, so I had to find something to work with my school schedule, and so I would work Starbucks like 3 in the morning. I would go 3 in the morning. Man, this shit is wild. That's why I tell you, it's another story. I was living in the South Bronx, my first place, South Bronx, with some random people. And I had to work at Starbucks. That was because I didn't know anybody. I had no network or nothing. So I went from making good money back at home to, I had to take what I can get. So I got that, man. And I got into bartending by lying on my resume, saying that I bartended before. I was working overnight at 59th Street at Starbucks. This French guy came in, matter of fact. He's like, it was late at night, so we started talking.
At Starbucks that night? That's crazy.
We started talking, and he's like, what do you want to do, and this and that. What are you doing in here? And I was like, well, I've served tables and, before, but I haven't done it here. He's like, just lie.
Yeah.
He's like, lie. He's like, I will get. He's like, he worked at I think the name was Vion. Vion is a restaurant. I don't know if it's still open, but he's like, yes, I work at Vion. You can use me as a reference. Use me. So I went to a restaurant, typed up my resume, went in there and told him that's what I made. And I made a killing every night too. Like, what was your nightly cash out, this and that. I lied my ass off, man, and got the job. And so that gave me a leg up, because then I started making some decent money and I could kind of breathe easy. But the transition was tough. I had a little bit of money saved up, but then that goes quick in New York City. That ain't.
Yeah.
We'll say a few $1,000s.
So went from serving, you went to bartending?
Yep. I went from serving to bartending. I started bartending because they had a private party on the roof and the guy never showed up. And so they threw me in, and I never bartended ever. And I had like a few hundred people on the rooftop.
Oh, wow.
So the line was like 6 feet back, and I didn't drink, so I didn't know what they were asking for. Like, I didn't know what a Cosmo was or how to make a margarita or none of that shit. I said, whatever it is, just tell me what's in it, and I'll make it strong. And the people, so I'm just slinging out drinks, and that's.
So you weren't playing ball at the time?
No, I was playing ball. Yeah, so I went to BMCC. I just emailed the coach, like. I sent him like some film I had of some old film I had, and then I flew myself out, just tried out, and got it. It wasn't BMCC is no like scholarship or no.
No,
like
we played against
BMC
community college.
So I just wanted to hoop.
That's where
man.
I started at BMCC and ended at Hunter.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, I just wanted to
I
hoop.
took some classes there.
So yeah, that's what got me my foot into hoops out
Well,
here.
let me ask you. So I know hooping is part of your livelihood because you train, but a huge part of your life also is you're a creative. Like you take photos, you make a video. When did that start? Because you haven't mentioned anything about that so far in your story.
I always used to draw. So as a kid, I would draw. In middle school, our art teacher, Miss Rain, she was dope. She would make us do these recreations of famous artwork on a T-shirt and auction them off. So
isn't that called slave labor? Child labor, right? Child labor.
It was a cool experience. Hey, she used to give us snacks and stuff too, so it wasn't all bad. It wasn't.
You got paid in snacks for child labor.
Yeah,
Okay.
I take it. But no, that was a cool experience. So I had that, and I will hold on to that.
When did you start messing with photos? Because you messing with photography before you became a videographer, right?
Yeah. So I got into photos. I think I would play around with my camera phone from time to time, and when I was bartending, one of the locals came in and he taught photography at the local school. So I don't know how he saw some of my pictures, but he was like, "You got the eye, man." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" "You got the eye, man. You should shoot. You got a camera?" And I was like, "No." And so he came back with one of the loaners. And
Really?
Gave it to me. And he's like, he said, "Hold on to this." He's like, "When you get your own, you can give it back to me, right?"
You know, it's interesting. I would say it's luck, but it's not. I watched you work the room in the gym today. We went to the gym, worked out in the morning, and you talk to everybody. But it's not like one of the people who just randomly talks to everybody. You know, you'll break the ice, but then have an actual thoughtful conversation with a person.
I'm addicted to learning, man.
Yeah, but I see that. I see that, and I think that's why so you had the eye or the guy at Starbucks for him to volunteer saying lie because he obviously saw something in you. You know, it wasn't random. You know, it wasn't just like your luck.
Yeah. Yeah, I think opportunities like that happen all the time. I just think you got to have your antennas up sometimes.
Agreed.
But I get what you're saying in terms of like whatever it is that I'm projecting, they're picking up on. They can pick up on something that maybe I can't even see at the time.
So what was your path? So you left. I know you left. I don't want to go on like long tangents about each aspect because you have a lot of chapters in your life.
No,
right?
I'll keep it quick. My bad, man.
No, it's all good. It's all good. So I know when I met you, it was around how long after that? After college and after working.
Right around that time.
Around that time, you were just finishing up, right?
No, I was still in it. I graduated in 2012.
So I met you when we were playing ball in Brooklyn. You were still in school?
Yeah.
And I also remember you had your son
in 2012.
In 2012, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that whole conversation we would have about back and forth with your ex and all that stuff.
Man.
How did having a son change your life a lot? You stayed in New York for a while.
Yeah. That's definitely a pivotal moment in my life for sure.
I mean, how long did you stay in New York?
Almost a decade, man. 8 years.
And what was the reason for leaving?
Man, shit just fell apart, man.
Wow.
Just everything.
In what regard?
My relationship, number one, obviously, right? And so I had a job that I was supposed to line up with Hennessy.
Yeah.
And got all the way through the process, was looking at some good money, had prepped for it, did like basically volunteer work for management to show that I could do the work. Went through everything, and the one thing that they said that I didn't have was experience. I was like, I just graduated. Where are you want me to find this?
That's a cop out.
So that really left the sour taste in my mouth, and I think that drove me to take the path that I've taken.
Yeah,
I think that was one of the, because to have that in front of you.
And when you say the path you've taken, just to be clear, you mean entrepreneurship?
Yeah.
Okay, let's just be clear because a lot of people don't know you.
No, yeah, it took me on the path to I was like, fuck it, if I'm gonna bet on me every time.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna take these bumps and I'm gonna figure this shit out because I see what leaving it in the hands of other people does. So I don't want to leave it to chance. If I'm gonna fall, if I'm gonna take a L, I'm gonna take a L.
Yeah.
So shit. When that happened, that was basically like an opportunity for me to kind of save everything, right? Get a good job and have everything lined up and have some security, and then have that stripped, and then I have to separate from my son, and it was tough. So I had to go back home and pick up the pieces, bro. It was
so you went back to
easy.
Chicago?
Yeah.
Because the job didn't pan out, but you didn't want to continue doing the...
So I was bouncing around doing the bartending stuff. I was having difficulty finding housing.
Really?
Because I had no credit.
Have you built
right?
credit since?
But then I didn't have income either, right? I was bartending. So it's like
Or you
now.
didn't claim any of that, huh?
So, but even if I did, the numbers that they're asking for to get something decent was tough.
Oh, yeah, 40
And
times, yeah.
And now I have a son, so now trying to, right, not having a stable home, I'm trying to find a room with somebody. I was like, yeah, I also got a newborn. Like, so I might have to watch him. I didn't know what so nobody wanted to touch me, man. So I was like, you know what? I'm in a foreign place where I got no support system, or I felt like I had no support system. And I felt like I exhausted my resources. So I was like, I'm sitting here beating a dead horse in some aspect. Yeah. And I was like, let me go back and find my footing. And that's what led me back to Chicago.
So what did you do when you got to Chicago?
So when I got back home to Chicago, I still bartended. I started training. That's what I was training. I started training in school, actually. So I started training basketball. My father was big into the weight, so that's what kind of gave me the foundation for that. But I was never training people. I was just doing it for myself. But then teaching younger kids basketball. And then as I went on my journey trying to go pro, and I started researching that shit, because like I would be the hardest worker in the gym, but not as athletic, right? Lacking in certain things. And I was like, okay, well, this guy has it. Well, what's he doing? So that led me down the rabbit hole of finding all these different
workouts
and so on, and kind of.
So when did you make the transition from also bartending to being full-time training?
So that was when I left Chicago and moved to LA. So I left Chicago, moved to LA, and started working under Jay Glazer's gym at Unbreakable. Okay. And that was kind of the catalyst that gave me the freedom to do just training. So I would do that and do private clients as well.
Gotcha. And from there, I know you moved Miami, Chicago. You kind of were moving around a little bit after that.
Due to COVID, yeah.
Through COVID. Okay, so it wasn't before. So you were LA after.
Yeah.
So okay, when would you get into the video photography stuff?
So when I got into the camera was when I moved back to Chicago. So I moved back to Chicago and I met the teacher, and he gave me the camera. And then I also have a good friend of mine. His name's Matt. We went to grade school together. He does weddings. And I think he may have seen my photos, and he kind of took me under his wing and was like, let me really show you how to do this stuff. So he showed me how the camera work, and let me do some shoots with him, and that got me started. And then from there, I would just shoot on my own. I found it to be therapeutic like hoops. So like shooting a photo was like shooting a jump shot, the same type of feeling.
And
you know?
And when did you start getting work for photography?
Well, my first job was with Matt. So I got paid to be his second shooter for a wedding. So that got me in the door and gave me the confidence to charge. And then from there, it was just like, the same way I would speak to those people at the gym, break the ice with them, and then they find out I shoot. And that's how it's been, man. Only up until recently have I started marketing, really, like putting together an actual marketing campaign. And
you were on tour for video recently, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like training's maybe taking not necessarily backseat, but almost level with your production work, right?
Yeah. So what made me dive more into the photos and video was COVID, because my industry was killed. Aside from doing online training, it was dead. So I was like, okay, well, where am I going to put all this energy? And so that just led me. I was like, I know that things will come back, but in the meantime, let me really hone these skills. So I dove further into the camera, and then started messing around with video, because I do the hoops. So everybody wants content.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, well, let me try. And it's bad because I tell people in the beginning, like I have my friends like, all right, man, I'm gonna shoot this, I'm gonna shoot the video for you. I don't even know how to work the camera for video, man. It was terrible. So, but you just got to fight through that mud, man, and figure it out. So I stuck with it, and I'm still learning, but it's a journey that I enjoy being on, and it's helped because in this day and age, like I do, man, content is everything. So if you have a product and you can help that vision be projected, it's
you had the initiative to learn. And now you also have a daughter, a baby daughter now.
Yeah, baby Maya.
That's right. So, if you can choose to have one business flourish, out of both your businesses, which one would you choose?
It's tough. I would have to say, man, that's tough. I look at it from the standpoint of impact. So it's like hand in hand, because I help people with their physical body, right, and help them improve and give them some positivity there. But then with the camera, I'm capturing moments that people, and that's
you can't choose
crazy.
one or the other. I mean, eventually, if you want to succeed and really thrive at one, you got to choose one and focus on that.
Yeah, for sure. My passion has always been fitness, and I think that's more important than just a fleeting moment of happiness.
Okay.
Right? So if
thing.
I can give somebody quality of life, whether they be a young athlete or older athlete, I think that's invaluable. Yeah.
So this leads to my next question. Since you're a father of two, what do you do for fun when you have that limited free time?
Play basketball.
Yeah?
I play basketball or shoot photos, man. That's what I'm not working, bro.
Yeah.
I don't work. I don't
Right.
work. I play basketball. I share the knowledge that I have with the people
Yeah,
around
we had
me.
a great workout today. You were giving
Right.
me the couple new drills for me, the floater drill. Oh, man, I hate the floater. It's such a great shot, but it's so hard.
No,
but yeah.
that's for real, man. Like, if I'm not in the gym, I'm in the gym,
Yeah.
like, for myself. And if I'm not shooting a photo shoot, I'm shooting pictures. Even if it's around the house, like, I'll shoot that can, bro. I'll pull out my little pocket rocket and I'll start shooting the can and just messing around. Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's his tiny camera. It's a small. You can literally put it in your pocket and pull it
That
out.
was like a
and shoot.
point and shoot
yeah,
situation.
No,
it kind of.
It's kind of a point. It's not a point and shoot, but it's small. You can actually just pull it
Nice.
and pull it out.
I find that to be. It's just like anything, man. Any way to get consistent. So, like, you have a big camera and it's nice, but sometimes the best one is the one in your hand.
Yeah. Okay, well, let me ask some more questions for you. What are your goals and dreams? And it can be professionally and personal.
My goal, some short-term goals are to help my mom get her house, to get a bigger space for my family, and to have them all together. That would be my ultimate.
A family all together, meeting your son and daughter and everyone.
Yeah, that'd be dope.
How old is your son now?
11.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What advice do you give high school you? And we talked about high school you wasn't focused and all that, but what would you change, if anything, or advise them?
Find God quicker.
Really, become more religious, find religion faster, essentially?
Yeah, for sure. I think a lot of my trials have come from me thinking that I'm in this on my own. From my perspective, I know I'm not alone. But you get told, I mean, everybody likes to touch the pan, right, to see if it's hot. So I spent a lot of my time doing that, and then I reached a point where it wasn't serving me.
Yeah.
So I was like, if I'm sitting here trying to mastermind all of these things to bring happiness and it's not working, I'm doing something wrong. So I had to stop. Like it says, you can't rely on your own understanding. Mm-hmm. Only a fool does that. So I knew there were things that were written on my heart that I could feel, but I always didn't act it out. And the more I started leaning into what, I don't like saying my heart, but just the things that are right and wrong. Everybody knows what's right and wrong. Yeah, man, my intuition. Yeah. So leaning into that, but I think the guidance comes from having a relationship with the Creator.
Okay.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the first time I ever had a conversation about religion or God was this morning, driving in the car, listening to Life of Pablo or Donda.
Yeah.
I forgot Donda, I think we listened to.
For sure.
The deluxe Donda. That's interesting advice. We haven't heard people say that yet, but I hear you. It's important not to feel alone. What is your favorite part of Outsiders?
The name says it all.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, man, as a kid, I grew up in a high-rise apartment, and I look back on it now, and you can call this, like, I'm being dramatic. But that shit was like a little jail cell. I wanted to run around and play and be outside, and but we get conditioned to being inside. It's abnormal, man. You're supposed to be outside enjoying and seeing.
There's also a play on words with the name. There's outsiders being outside, but then, you know, outsiders, maybe some outcasts. You feel like you're different from the rest. We have a lot of people who come out with us because they don't necessarily want to be in the outdoors alone, and their friends don't necessarily like to do the outdoor things, but they come to find people that are like-minded and do that. So there's a play on words there.
I've experienced that too, like
Yeah.
on the trips I've taken with you. Yeah,
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, my mom went.
That's right, yeah. Your mom, I would like to get your mom involved in these trips, man. And I'm not saying that to be a jokester. Like, your mom, I feel like she was a great addition to the team somehow. So if she'd be interested,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
yeah.
You know?
She was asking too. She's like, "When's the next one?" I said, "We'll go for sure." So I get it over there.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I think we would benefit from having someone like your mom there, and then she would benefit from being in the outdoors and the community vibe. Like, I think anyone benefits from community.
Absolutely.
All right. Actually, this is kind of in line with, maybe you can answer this, maybe not, but as a person of color, tell us about your experience with the outdoors, because typically it's been more something that people in urban environments say, that's not for me, that's not for us.
Yeah. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I think that it needs to be introduced to inner city youth as early as possible. If there was a way that you could consistently get them to be involved with the environment outside of this environment, it's essential. It's medicine, man.
Yeah.
It truly is. And you just away from a lot of influence to be with yourself. A lot of people don't even know what it's like to be, without distraction
or without
influence.
Stimulus, right?
Yeah, stimulus,
I mean, even if you could be with other people without being stimulated by other things and have focus, whether it be you and the people you're with or you and your environment.
Absolutely.
And it's funny because yesterday we were out at Chitano Island, and this guy come up to us like, hey, I wanna know, like, who are you guys and what do you do? I'm like, well, it's a birthday of friends. Oh, okay, I'm here with my company. He's like, so but I started talking to him. Smart young black guy talking about I told him about outsiders. Like, a lot of us know each other through the outdoors, the outsiders, I should say. And I'm like, you should join sometimes. Like, oh man, he said I'm black. I'm not. It's not for me. I'm like, well, that's not true, my friend. Like, I know typically it's not been something that has been proposed and easy access to people in an urban environment. But look at everyone here. Look at everyone. There's a lot of people that look like you with us. Like, you should check it out. It might not be your thing, but we're not doing things that are extreme, beginner friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw like his like confusion turned into like, wow, that's really interesting. So hopefully we turned him into a potential attendee. But a lot of people think black people don't hike. That's a stereotype that is quickly changing with the groups that I know that do that. So we're a group that's diverse. We want people from all creeds, religion, color, sexual orientation, all that together. But there are groups that are specifically for, like the hood hikers, black people outside, flock together. There's all these groups that are specifically for black or black Latino groups and so on. And I think it's great. I think it's great that they're doing this because it's making it accessible, making it not so like it's not for us, but instead of that, like, this is ours. It makes it everyone theirs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that we're also changing our approach in Sweden because we were doing the same thing we're doing in the U.S., but we decided, my guys that helped me run Sweden, it was their idea that they wanted to focus predominantly on making it accessible for kids in the suburbs, and the suburbs meaning the hood in Sweden.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you know what? That doesn't exist at all in Sweden. Whereas in New York, Chicago, LA, they have groups like that. So we're more about bringing everybody together.
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing that. So it's interesting when I ask you that question, that your response is similar to the problems we're trying to solve.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's good.
On the right track for sure, man.
Working on it. All right, I went on a tangent myself. I apologize. All right, here we go.
That's what we got editing for, baby. Chop that up.
Listen, I don't.
We don't edit.
You don't
don't edit.
Listen,
oh shit, they hear everything.
No. It's straight from the minute we start recording until the minute we stop.
Yeah.
Unless you say, "Listen, can you admit that?"
Yeah.
Then
And
everything's straight.
on Instagram, we do have like a high.
It's a highlight reel, yeah. But I literally, it's from the minute we start to the minute we end.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I have another question. So, what is a dream you've yet to achieve? I guess you just answered that with the goal of your family, but is there anything else that, like, maybe a personal goal you want to achieve? Like a selfish goal for yourself?
No.
Okay. Yeah, I think you already told us your goal. So yeah. My next question is one of my favorites. What is your most embarrassing moment?
Embarrassing. Oh, I have to think. I mean, I'm sure I got a bunch.
I feel like you would have something embarrassing. Some people out here, some people we interview are the types that don't necessarily get embarrassed because they don't care what others think.
I mean, I've had some funny things happen as a kid. Like,
Let's hear it.
I was in I think I was in second grade. We used to play before school and hop over fences and play cops and robbers. And I got caught on a high fence and ripped my uniform. Yeah. And my ass was showing, so I had to walk around there. I had banana underwear on, you know. So it was bad, and so I had to go to the principal's office. They gave me some pants, but they didn't fit. It was terrible.
Oh no!
But I had to walk through, everybody to see it. So
with your ass out.
Ass out.
Banana underwear. Man. Okay, that's pretty funny. That's an embarrassing moment for sure.
Yeah. I actually I think I got some scars. Like, I cut my ass too on the.
Really?
Yeah, when I came down, because I was getting chased, man. It was real, man. I hopped the fence. I was like,
ouch.
It was bad.
All right. Well, we're glad you're healed. What have I not asked you that you want to share about yourself? Is there anything?
About myself? I don't think so. I think I've spoken what I've spoken.
Okay.
Yeah,
no, that's fine. I got the last segment of this. If you can't think of anything, is 5 rapid fire questions. All right. So
shit. All right, come on.
All right.
I'll be as quick as I can.
What's your favorite city?
Other than Chicago and New York City.
In the States?
True. Good. Anywhere in the world.
So far, it's been Rome.
Rome? I've never been to Rome. I haven't been to Rome yet. I gotta go. Why do you like Rome so much?
It's like you go into a time capsule. It was dope. Very
Colosseum
unique experience.
and all these things.
And you could walk those.
I noticed your tattoo is that Roman?
That's David.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got this before I even started my spiritual journey, which is funny. I was looking for something to hold on to. So I thought the story of David was cool, man. The underdog story.
Yeah, David Goliath. Okay.
And look at how he just used what he had. He didn't go like lift weights to beat Goliath. He's like, oh yeah, I'm dope with this slingshot. I got this. Watch out.
That's interesting. I like that story.
That's
cool.
I'm chilling.
All right. If you could do any other profession, what would you do?
Damn. These are good. Any other profession? If I could do any, it would probably be something crazy like fly a jet or something.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought your answer would have been like NBA player, professional basketball player.
No, I like my journey.
I mean, like, I guess that could have been your dream growing up, but flying a jet or something crazy like that would be the answer now.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your vice? I think I know your vice.
Hey, listen, me and Mary have a good relationship. And I'll just keep it at that,
Okay. I mean, are you opposed to talking about that or not?
No, not at all. Actually, I'm an advocate for if it.
I mean, by Mary means
sense.
marijuana,
yeah, cannabis.
Yeah.
So I smoke.
Listen, so are most majority of everybody that works in the studio. They're all proponents for.
For sure. Listen, I'll tell you. And if I'm going over, let me know. For several reasons. I promote cannabis, and I actually would like to not even need any vice, if you want to say, right? But I look at it from a pain standpoint. I got injuries I've had. I got really bad feet, and I do deal with pain on a daily basis. So I take a hit to kind of take that initial pressure off and kind of allow me to get my gears going. I don't think that anybody should misuse it and just smoke all day. I don't think that's a good way to live. I also can see how it can be very damaging to someone who is not in the right mental state. You know, if you're dealing with a lot of stressors, that can exacerbate it. So listen, you know, everybody has their limits and shit figured it out on their own. But for me, it's helped me with my physical pain as a relaxant. That's what I use it primarily for. So not just smoking. I use the rubs as well.
Okay.
Yeah, and it as a topical, and it helps. Yeah, for sure.
All right. I appreciate you sharing that. What's your greatest fear?
My greatest fear. Man, I got rid of fear a while ago.
No fear at all. I mean, come on, it's not.
I have moments of fear, or I guess you can say anxiety, but I found peace, man. Even in the storm, like even during COVID, it was probably the worst time you could think of for a lot of people. And I found myself more at peace during that time.
Was that due to your relationship with God?
Yeah, it's the only thing that gets you through. I've had some crazy experiences too where, God's the only thing that gets you through. You can say what you want, for sure. So to know that there's like I said, that takes the weight off my shoulders.
Okay.
Yeah, I worry about what I can control, and the things that I can, I rely on faith. I don't walk by my own.
Okay.
My sight, by faith, not by sight.
You walk with confidence that you have someone looking over you, in a sense.
Yeah, I look at it from a guidance standpoint, right? It's just to keep my commandments, and he can't lie. That's what it says in the scriptures.
Yeah.
He's a God that can't lie. So if he's saying that if you follow his commands, you'll be blessed and he's going to look out for you, then what do you have to worry about? Other than how strong your faith is. You kind of believe, or do you really believe? Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes not easy because your environment forces you to stand on that and not waver. And a lot of people can't do that, you know. But
all right, no, I appreciate that answer. It's something that.
These are just my opinions. This is just my perspective.
Well, everyone knows that.
You know?
They don't have to make a disclaimer. Everyone knows that. Last question, and I don't know if you had time to do this because I mentioned it very late last minute. But what's your favorite food? I'm guessing you didn't have time to bring it.
Man, I talk about food, but my quick one is watermelon.
Yeah.
I love I can eat watermelon all day. Vice, like bad, is gummy bears.
What?
Gummy bears, I throw them in the freezer, so they're like a hard candy, but then they switch up on you.
Wait, normal gummy bears or some gummy bears?
Haribo, gotta be Haribos.
Oh, so
Okay.
Gotta be Haribos. If they're not Haribos, they are not gummy bears. It's imitators. I'm telling you.
So that's your favorite food, watermelon, Haribo gummies?
Yeah, if we're talking like a dish,
Yeah.
I mean, anything my mom cooks, really. Like,
What does she cook? What's Belizean?
Yeah, like
Food
she
like?
does Caribbean food, soul food, like traditional soul food, but then also Caribbean, like stewed goat or curry goat or stewed chicken or oxtail.
You're gonna
I
help
made
us-
some oxtail yesterday. It was delicious.
What did you have? Rabo?
Yeah.
Where?
There's a picture I posted on Instagram.
Oh, you made that?
Yeah, I made
He's
that.
Puerto Rican,
My
man.
God,
You gotta,
it's so good.
they know about that.
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me, that I've eaten plenty of it. It's delicious. That's one of the most tenderest meats you can have.
Hell
Nice
yeah.
fatty piece too.
Yep.
Damn, man, I'm getting hungry again. You're going to be helping us plan the outside of destination trip to Belize. I'm not sure when that'll take place. We have so many destinations we want to go to, but we got to hit Belize.
Absolutely.
We'll have to work on that. Other than that, we're going to have you coming out to outside of Chicago events more often. I hope, if everything lines up.
For sure.
If not, we'll definitely get you to help out some. Have your mom involved if she's up for it. I think she'd be a great addition, a great resource for us.
Man, I'll bring her for sure. You got my
Please.
word.
And I appreciate that. But other than that, you're the first feature on Outside of Chicago. That's from Chicago. And we'll have to have you back. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Peace.